he treats him like a brother. Very, very sweet man.
Hi everyone, my name is Doug Thompson. Myself and my lovely partner Andrea are neighbors of Humbert, Jennifer and their lovely girls. I'd like to share some great memories of my good friend Humbert Cabreza. I have to start my story the day I met him in late 2011 after I moved into the home next door. One morning as I was heading out the back door, I heard a voice say, "Hey man!" I looked next door and I saw my new neighbor greeting me with the biggest and most welcoming smile. He wore a black Pink Floyd toque, and my immediate impression was that he had excellent taste in music. And he did. We chatted briefly and introduced ourselves. I said, "Great to meet you. I'm Doug." He introduced himself as Humbert. After a brief exchange, we wished each other well and got on with our days. And this is where the story gets funny and how nicknames are created. I got on with my day remembering his name as Nordbert. He got on with his day remembering my name as Danny. For the better part of the next year, we often greeted each other with a, "Hey man," followed by some small chit-chat. But one day he said, "Hey Danny," to which I replied, "Hey Nordbert." At that very moment, he scrunched his face up and I realized I may have called him by the wrong name. As men, much like how we will not ask for directions when we are lost, neither of us thought to ask the other for clarification with our actual names. We continued chatting and then went on with our day. One day, after knowing each other for well over a year, I had to confess my ignorance that I was, in fact, entirely unsure of his actual name. I sheepishly asked him, "Your name's not Nordbert, is it?" He smiled that huge smile and he laughed that laugh and he said, "Nordbert? No way, man, it's Humbert." By this time I was laughing too, and I said, "Well, then I have to confess that my name isn't Danny. It's actually Doug." Again, he scrunched his face up and laughed and said, "Doug? No way, man, you're Danny." To this day, he never once called me Doug. I was forever nicknamed Danny by Humbert and Uncle Danny by his wonderful family. This always makes me smile and laugh. Humbert and Jennifer's summer parties were always a highlight in the neighborhood. Great people, great food, great laughter. It was always fun to walk into the garage and be greeted by Humbert with a smile and a laugh while the karaoke party kicked into high gear. One of the first parties I went to, Humbert asked me if I knew the difference between Filipino karaoke and regular karaoke. I said I did not. He went on to explain that in Filipino karaoke, the video on the screen is often a literal translation of the lyrics. As he explained this to me, his friend was singing "Bridge Over Troubled Water" by Simon and Garfunkel, and the accompanying video was that of a very large man riding a tricycle over a suspension bridge. Again, many smiles and much laughter. I have nothing but great memories of time we spent laughing together in our yards. We truly bonded while spending time outside chatting in the summer months. We both loved music from the 70s and 80s, so much so that over the past few years, I rarely even put my music on while I was out in the yard, because Humbert's soundtrack is the same soundtrack as mine. The Eagles, and Journey, Elton John, and like the toque he wore the day we met, Pink Floyd. Somehow over the years, as friends and neighbors, we got into the habit of leaving a cold beer on the fence for one another. As we worked around our yards, cutting grass or doing chores, or even just sitting outside listening to music, Eventually, a cold beer would quietly appear from either side of the fence. Then we'd wait for the other guy to find it. There was always a chuckle and a "thanks, man" from one another as the sound of a beer can opening found its way across our shared fence. This always brought a smile and always brought a laugh. I could go on and on about what a wonderful friend Humbert has been. To my eyes, he's also a wonderful husband, father, son, brother-in-law, co-worker, friend, neighbor, the list goes on. Thank you, my friend, for all the smiles and all the laughs. You are truly one of the very, very best I have ever met, and I will never forget you. Thank you.